Hey people, Positive Paul. Here we are on Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. And we're going to take a stroll down memory lane. And some of us out there within the social media landscape would be familiar with what was known, I guess is known, as the targeted individual community. And we're gonna find out where this is at today, where we came from, what we've accomplished, what we've learned, and what has been done about it. Now, myself, the earliest I can state that I became aware of these so-called targeted individuals would be around the end of 2015. Around that time, I had learned a couple years prior about my involvement in the original MK Ultra satanic ritual abuse, but more importantly, these implants that are in me from head to toe. And after a 7-year search, I cannot find one individual that will stand up like a man or woman and say, you know what? Yeah, I've got implants in my teeth. They're vibrating. My teeth are falling out. Yeah, I've got implants in my feet, because there's a very strange sensation that radiates from my heel. Yeah, I've got implants, matter of fact, all throughout my body. That never happened. I couldn't find anybody. And I thought to myself, how could this be? How could this be? And of course, what we've been bombarded with, what they have, the narrative that they have created, that technologically, within the realm of artificial intelligence, that if implants were a thing, they're a thing of the past, and now they are so technologically advanced that they have these supercomputers that can remotely access a human being and begin to try to manipulate that individual's thought process, try to manipulate that individual's behavior. And one key aspect of the original MK Ultra, simply put, is how can we make a good person bad? A person that would never, ever even think. Let's just use an example. They would never think of breaking one of the 10 commandments intentionally, purposely. They would never think of committing a crime. So how if there's human beings out there that their moral compass is always pointing true north, their integrity, their character, it cannot be manipulated to suit the nefarious purposes of evil. How can we change this? Now, the group that would like to change these individuals, I describe them as Satanist. Now, within the satanic sphere of influence, keeping things in a post-World War II perspective, we know that a term that now is loosely used but well established, and it's the notion of conspiracy theories. And as time would drag on after World War II, you would see certain individuals that somehow are able to obtain information that would lead one to believe that there are organizations, there's groups, there's countries, nations, governments that are up to no good. And what we've learned so far is that this phenomenon, these conspiracies are so vast and so wide, it's next to impossible to keep up with all of them. Now, we're going to focus on the targeted individual community. So let's slow down and go back to the notion, and I'm going to stick with what's been taking place in America, although we know that this is not just something that's contained within the United States. It's a global phenomenon, but moreover, it's only limited to what we would classify the Western world, and predominantly English-speaking locations, but we must always include Europe in this. And I would suggest that actually a lot of what people experience in the United States concerning any type of perceived or real targeting, we can certainly say that Europe, they would have incubated a lot of these so-called programs, because what we still have been hearing is that this targeting is a program within the United States. The United States government has a targeting program, and it's a multifaceted one, because you can certainly go within all the conspiracies, but the number one aspect of this targeting program is that we were told there is a supercomputer, as I stated, that has the ability to remotely access someone's mind and try to manipulate their behavior. So within the targeted individual community, I believe the best anybody can tie it down is we see around, I'll put it at 2007, 2008, that you'll see the term targeted individual being used, the term gang stalking being used, but it wouldn't really be until after 2011, which is a very pivotal year for all these conspiracy theories, but what you have is it builds momentum. It builds momentum that where you see where, okay, it appeared that, I'll use an arbitrary number, less than possibly 10 people went on social media, meaning Facebook and YouTube at that time, and were complaining about being harassed and it picked up steam from there. Now, let's take one example of an individual. And right here, we're looking at a person, goes by the name of Brian 2. He's one of the original targeted individuals. He shows up, I believe it was 2013, where you see his first video, and he's trying to explain in detail about how he found himself in this situation. Now, he claims to be a whistleblower, and his at the top of his claims, right, top of the list there, is the notion that he is being used as a guinea pig within this, I don't know, testing phase, experimental phase of this remote neural monitoring system, this R&M supercomputer that's been crawling up everybody's ass for at least, we'll just say, the past 15 years. Now, the notion of a supercomputer is nothing new. I do believe around the early 2000s, you would have saw Steve Croft on 60 Minutes do an expose on a supercomputer known as Watson, located up in San Jose, California. He went to the location and he actually showed us the hardware, the building, and one of the key takeaways that I thought was amazing is the monthly electric bill to have the air conditioning running nonstop to keep these computers cooled down was over $500,000. Imagine getting a bill in the mail for that every month. So yes, the idea of a supercomputer is nothing new. And look, we can clearly say that they've got something going on. Yes, it does exist, but the question becomes, what is it capable of? Now back to Brian. Brian's a very colorful character. Now, as I said, around the end of 2015, I began to research MK Ultra, satanic ritual abuse, and when I would go on YouTube, I first discovered a person by the name of Zeph Daniel, and Brian popped up in some of my searches. Now, one of the most interesting things is, if anybody's followed me and paid attention and doesn't, use their active imagination in the comment section, they would see that I lived in San Diego, California. Ocean Beach, matter of fact, just north of downtown San Diego, California. And as I was fumbling around, trying to figure out why things were the way they were, having a family that essentially had been gaslighting me my whole life. They were sellouts, as a lot of the other families are in America. There's no way that these people did what they did, and they're just, an isolated case. It's impossible. So, a lot of families out there, baby boomers, have lived in denial, lived lies, lied to their children. But one of the things I discovered is one of Brian's videos back, it would have been May of 2016. And he was doing videos from a place called Point Loma Library off of Voltaire Street, right around the corner from my apartment over on Mentone in West Point Loma. Now, when I saw this, I thought this was very interesting. And if anybody's watched Brian back then and watched him right now, because he's still doing the exact same thing. He has been a one-trick pony with this R&M supercomputer. So what I did was, back then, I was trying to sell my property up there in Ocean Beach because I had been surrounded by lunatics. People were dumping garbage on my property, starting fires, putting dog shit on the steps leading up to my door. They would essentially leave broken down cars parked in front of my property. And then when I picked up on Brian and the so-called gang stalking, a light bulb went off concerning some of my neighbors. And an example would be, and I could show you a picture here shortly, is that a bought and paid informant, provocateur, instigator perp moved next door to my property. And he turned his little section into a Sanford and Son situation, meaning it became a junkyard while I was trying to sell my property. Now, one could clearly see, wow, that's a classic case, right? Let's say you want to harass somebody, someone's trying to, just get the hell out of that situation. They might have limited assets. They may be broke. They may have been blacklisted, harassed at their job, and they needed money, which was the case with me. And it was an impossible situation, but when you're trying to sell a home and your neighbors all have garbage everywhere, you get the picture, people. So here Brian is. He was over at the Point Loma Library. I said, son of a gun, I'm going to go over there. It's a quick 5-minute ride. That's when I drove back then. And I would actually wait in the parking lot. I would walk around. And I would say, man, is it, this guy's got to show up. He's been here the past month doing these videos. But you know what? Amazingly so, every time I went there, no Brian too. He was nowhere to be found. So he quickly abandoned doing those videos at the Point Loma Library because, see, his handlers were letting him know that, look, we're moving on to the next location here. You got this asshole, Positive Paul, coming around, snooping around, and we can't have the two of you bumping into each other. So shortly thereafter, I had sold my property, and I'm sure, look, I left the United States in 2016, and you know what? I don't have a criminal record. They can say I owe them taxes for a home sale, that, whatever they think they can try to get blood out of a stone. But see, they know the deal, what was being done to me and what my situation was. So I got out of there in one piece, barely. And because my son's mom is from Mexico, I came down here to Rosarito Beach, Mexico, where my son's mother is from. And that's pretty much where I've been. So I never ran into Brian, but I did follow him on YouTube. And it became very apparent by 2017 that I have a serious problem. That my situation is nothing that can compare to any of these so-called targeted individuals on YouTube or Facebook, which, look, Facebook was worthless back then, and it's even more worthless now. So we'll just stick with YouTube. I know there are, people on Facebook that maybe might have not used YouTube, but that doesn't make sense. If you're trying to explain something as severe as your very existence, your life being threatened, you're being harassed, you are going to take advantage of every single tool at your disposal to get your witness testimony story out there. So Brian was on Facebook, and he would always, talk about the censorship back then. And of course, Facebook was even worse than YouTube back then. If anybody put up real information concerning this targeting program, which is no such thing, people. I've said this for years now. Yes, there's something going on, guaranteed, but not the way it's been described to us. So, Brian, as I said, he was a one-trick pony, and he had surrounded himself with a group of people that all were being targeted by this remote neural monitoring system. Now, I stopped listening to Brian around, close to 3 years ago, but I would still only check in to see what type of videos he was doing and where he was at. Because, mind you, if you're, let's just say there really was a targeted individual program, okay? The perpetrators of this program, they have a process they go through in wearing down an individual to try to make them either do something adversely that will cause them to get into the legal system so they can create documents to try to make them look crazy or a criminal. But more importantly, they want to try to lead you to suicide. That's the whole goal. And if, as I stated, that a lot of the individuals that may have came and went on social media trying to explain about their situation, a lot of them would have been targeted from birth. And there's many aspects to that, and we'll maybe go over that, but not right now. So this group that Brian was surrounded by all had the same problem, the R&M supercomputer. Now, Brian was one who would very rarely talk about satanic ritual abuse. That was more of Zeph Daniels' job. But the one common denominator that all these targeted individuals had is it was just his targeting program. Not a single one. I mean, there was maybe one or two that would say, yeah, my family, my uncle, my dad, CIA, whatever. Part of all these organizations that we've heard about, from Alex Jones, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, on and on and on. If you were had parents that are involved within that satanic sphere of influence within those organizations, you certainly could could be set up or used as a pawn or targeted to keep the parent individual at bay. Because look, these Satanists cannot have someone change their mind about what they're doing and say, you know what the hell am I doing? I got to stop this. This is wrong. This is going against every godly thing that we've been taught about what it is like to be a good human being and respect others. So once that happens, then that's when the machine gets unleashed on you, when you begin to go against it and push back and reject it. But these people, they couldn't even tell you anything. They couldn't tell you anything. All they would do is show you the process of the targeting. Now, what are some of the key things that we've learned over the past 10 years that people have shown us concerning the targeting? Okay, well, top of the list is this directed energy attacks, right, folks? The R&M supercomputer that was lighting everybody up back then. And let's slow down a minute. Let's slow down, and I want to take a moment. Okay, one of Brian's best buddies was this individual, Robert Duncan, a CIA scientist whistleblower that let us all know that, hey man, you know, I helped design this R&M supercomputer. Yeah, man, look, I've done so many videos on this, people. It's enough to make me want to puke right now that I'm regurgitating, repeating everything I've done years ago that nobody was allowed to watch. But this is who is known as Baby Chewbacca. See, he was a really clean-cut CIA scientist. All right, well-shaven, didn't look like the Crocodile Dundee Baby Chewbacca he does right here on one of his last videos with Ramallah D, if anybody remembers her. But this would have been, hell, over 4 years ago. There's nothing new coming from him. But Brian, this was Brian's #1 guy. And he, back in 2016, had famously done an 1.5 hour long video with an individual by the name of Renata Murray. And it was all about the targeting, but more over the R&M supercomputer. So Brian is surrounded by these people that are parroting the same thing on their YouTube channels, that they're being targeted by a mysterious targeted program. They didn't have sellout parents. They didn't have Satanists within their midst. It was just this targeting program in a mysterious remote neural monitoring system supercomputer. Now, has anybody ever discovered where this supercomputer is located at? Is it over at Area 51? Is it in a deep underground military base? Or is it just in an undescript building somewhere in the United States? Can anybody tell me where this is located at? And has any government representative of any type of authority come out and say that, oh yeah, hey man, this, well, we heard Baby Chewbacca's whistleblowing story, right? But he couldn't tell you where it was. And keep in mind this very sensitive information that he put out on social media, it had no blowback on him. He has been living a very comfortable life. He receives money. I don't know what he does now, but hey, things worked out well for him. See, the R&M supercomputer, they couldn't do baby Chewbacca in, right? There was no targeting. After all those years, he ran his mouth. But where is Robert Duncan today? He was a flash in the pan because he was a fraud. He's a creepy chameleon, Canaanite, Hollywood, hybrid hack. Now, again, I love to beat up on you RubeTube shapeshifter dopey comment perps on the very few channels that are left that delve into the whole shape-shifting aspect. But what's your key mantra? Ooh, anybody with the slit eyes a reptilian. Wow. See, you people are in big trouble because the way I see it now and what I'm discovering, and hey, you can say this about me, but remember what I tell you. If a little child had been put through satanic ritual abuse, satanic rituals were done on them, experimentation within the occult, would they display the attribute of your beloved reptilians, people? Well, yes, if you have a little pea brain that can rationalize information logically, well, of course. And you would be surprised that if these dopey comment perps on YouTube, wherever else they fester, once you put their mugs up there on camera, let's see what you look like, you freaks. So yes, let's slow down because this gets me worked up. It's always gotten me worked up, and this is why I'm the most censored person on YouTube. Now let's talk about raw numbers, all right? Let's talk about raw numbers. I just did this 15 minutes ago. I Googled the population of the United States. In 2021, last census, 331.9 million people. Let's just chop that in half. One half are under the age of 18. Don't think much, don't know much. Only can be told what to do for the most part. But the other half should be thoughtful, caring human beings. Correct? So if we let's just an arbitrary number, right? Look, I've got no empirical evidence, but we chop that in half and we make it, what? It would become, I don't know. My calculator and my pea brain's not working. All right, 115, or no, it would be something like, 100 and something million. Okay, whatever. Now of that group, okay, of that group, and look, this is interesting too. They include Russia, which has 143 million, but look at Mexico, where I'm at. There's only 130 million people. So let's look. Facebook has over 2.934 billion users in a world that's over 7 billion. I don't want to factor Facebook into this conversation and this the point that I'm trying to bring up. We'll stick with YouTube. YouTube has 113.9 million channels as of July 29th, 2002. Only 4.4% of the 2.6 billion active YouTube users created their own YouTube channel. Now let's take a quick look at this. What this is telling us is that most people go on YouTube and they don't have a channel. Now, what do we know? What do we understand? That in order to make a comment on someone's video, you need to have a YouTube channel. So back to what I was saying about raw numbers concerning targeted individuals and the amount of actual individuals on social media trying to put out some type of witness testimony concerning perceived or real harassment coming from this mysterious government targeting program within the United States, which to this day, no one has been able to crack the code, bring these evildoers to justice, the perps, right? The gang stalkers. Has anybody, and remember Brian, way back when, he had this class action TI lawsuit, and at the top of his list on who he included, and now look, these people probably wanted nothing to do with Brian, but he used their names. Zeph Daniel and Mike Barden. Okay? So I don't see, I get off track easy, but the point, let's go back to this. How the fact is that the reality on YouTube is how many people were on YouTube claiming to be targeted individuals. This is going to stun you, this is going to shock you, and this is going to say, no way, Positive Paul. It's impossible. You don't have, you've got no way of verifying this. Well, I do have a way of verifying this because I've lived through this for 10 years. I've had nothing to do. No job. My job has been to hassle these Satanists and bring them to their knees. That's been my job, and point out the social media frauds, which I claimed that in one of my videos back in 2019, if it's still there. So how many do you think? This is going to shock you. Okay. We know that number back in 2016 would have been a little lower. Let's just call it 1 million, okay? Do you understand that on YouTube, I'll be generous. I will be generous and conservative. That there wouldn't have been more than, I'll say 200 channels on YouTube that talked about the targeted individual community. Now you're sitting here saying, how could that be, Positive Paul? Because the way if you claim to be harassed or targeted and you watch some of these channels, you would be like, wow, man, everybody's targeted. There should be hundreds of thousands at least, right? Or thousands, tens of thousands. No, couple hundred. Now, with that being said, how do they do this? Here's part of the mind control, people. The people, once someone like me, a satanic ritual abuse survivor, put through the original MK Ultra, loaded down with these implants, when I had no other way, that's when I said, I guess I got to go to social media because I'm about to become a statistic, become homeless and scooped up off the street, carted off to the funny farm. Because see, what my family had to do is they continue to mock me, even though I don't really talk to them anymore. If someone asked them, hey, what happened to your son Paul? Oh, well, he went crazy. He was on meds and he stopped taking his meds, and he just went crazy. So one thing you never heard from some of these TIs, they again, what were their families doing? Like, would they sit down at the dinner table and the mom would ask the kid, oh, were you hit by directed energy last night? Do you get what I'm saying? Would they have conversations with their family? And would these parents, let's say, here's one of the few, Brian Two's buddy, Kyle, Vulcan Wolverine, who his mommy just bought him a nice new laptop, right? He's still doing videos. He's almost got 4,000 subscribers after 10 years. That's, you'd think he'd have more. But the reality is, like I said, all right, if he's almost has 4,000 subscribers, of those 4,000 people, are they just watching him for entertainment, or they actually have issues concerning the targeting? Well, when you looked at Kyle, okay, same thing, still parroting, still giving the notion that this R&M supercomputer is out there conducting directed energy attacks. So the point is, this is impossible, folks. What YouTube does with sophisticated software algorithms, if a Positive Paul or anybody else that steps up and tries to, bear witness against the Satanist, what they'll do is they will first go to great lengths to block anybody that would really offer real support in the form of financial support, in the form of at least, getting me some way to continue to make videos, whether it's another iPhone or whatever, okay? They'll try to prevent that. But what they'll do is, when you jump on your YouTube channel and you try to do a search, you will get fed the garbage, people. Do you understand how this works? So, where am I? Let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick. Let's do a real-time gang stalking search in incognito mode. Let's type in the word gang stalking. You're going to watch me do it in real time now. No monkey business here, people. Gang stalking. Search. Wow. Look at that. Who popped up? None other than String Bing, Mr. Miyagi. I call him Mr. Miyagi because he used the whiteboard. Remember when he had his suitor, his handler, bought him that condo? Or he was watching, I don't know, I forget. This is all ancient history. But remember, folks, okay? This was from 5 years ago. So when you type in gang stalking, what's the first thing you see? Vice. Oh, there's our pal Snowden. Wow, okay. See, look, there's events. If you write down a list of these touchstone key events leading up to the notion of what Snowden talked about, you would be shocked because it all circles back and emanates from one source. So, okay, here's the new darling, Dr. Grande, this know-it-all quack that, okay, his thing was 2 years ago. What is a targeted individual? Like this douchebag, quack, is qualified to talk about this. But he has over 320,000 views. Wow. But look at in between. Gang stalking survival. Well, folks, do you know who is gang stalking survival? It's none other than Zeph Daniel and his lackeys. Let's take a look. Gang stalking survival. Wow, look, gang stalking explained by Zeph Daniel. Wow, the hive mind. Ooh, here's why you are being targeted and gang stalked. Now, Zeph taught me a thing or two. But see, Zeph is sitting in a very cushy custom home out there somewhere in New Mexico, surrounded by very high-tech, expensive recording audio equipment, right? He's into music. He's a producer. Zeph is a very intelligent individual. I'll give him that. But, nah, Zeph, you know who you work for. Your daddy, the devil. All right? See, Satan wants his spokespeople up there, and they will pretend to be something they're not because they're all grade B, Hollywood, hybrid, hack, out-of-work actors that the only thing they could have done is go on social media and spread disinformation. Do you get that, people? So back to what I was saying. See, this video might go sideways quick. Okay, so, okay, there's 3. Oh, another vice. Ooh, meet the targeted individual. Ooh, the chosen ones. Oh, gang stalking simulation. Oh, meth. See, what's their top thing? That when you try to witness, they'll either tell you you're a drug addict or you're a narcissist, right? They use these, see, the English language was invented for a couple of reasons. And look, the Western civilization, they're on the decline, folks. Nothing's going to save them. They can't come up with a new word. All right, the Webster's Dictionary is a done deal. Anything else that gets added to that is nothing short of a bunch of malarkey. Okay. People are into gang stalking. Oh, look, do you see how they mock the satanic ritual abuse survivor, somebody that is truly being harassed because they've got a Satanist within their midst? Do you get that? Now let's go over the people who are truly targeted. I've done this a million times, and this may be the last type of video I do like this, but okay, we are understanding in the end times, right, as it relates to the Bible, as it relates to Scripture. What do I tell you, people? That the biblical narrative has intersected, crisscrossed with the conspiratorial narrative. This is why you have all this garbage on social media to mislead people that are suffering. But who's at the top of the list? Well, it's not Christians yet, because we know there is no widespread persecution. And look, it's okay to be a Christian. You have a personal relationship with God and His only begotten Son that shed His blood to wash away your sins. It's not about going to church. It's not about meeting up on Wednesday night with a group of people, which would be nice if you could do that and everything's on the up and up. It'd be fantastic. But that's not happening, folks. We know that. But the point is, hang on. See, I'm losing my train of thought. So I got to slow down because, see, now I'm worked up. And this has been my problem all along, watching these social media frauds just getting away with murder. Unbelievable. Okay, well, narcs and gang stalking. Wow, look at that. Ain't that cute? The point is, you do not see anybody that was around back in 2015, 2016. There's a few holdouts. I'm one of them. Jubilina Redeemed is the other. Brian too, and his buddies. There's the Kyle, Vulcan Wolverine still hanging around. So I would put it at less than possibly 10 channels that can say, hey man, I remember all these people. And I'll show you what they do with me. Because see, they know that I am their worst nightmare. What they do with me, people, see up here, imagine every time when you turn on your device, your iBooks is uninstalled. All right? Now, see, what they did is I had a PDF converter that they totally disabled because the information I had on it is so damaging. It's these yahoos that were around back in 2016, 17. All right. But again, imagine every single time you go online, your iBooks gets uninstalled. And then what they do is they reduce the space so you can't get it back. So I have to erase more information that I probably don't want to in order to get back some of my stuff. And, you know, the one thing they're scared of, I have a lot of information on Brookhaven National Laboratories. I've never gotten into this. I could do an excellent video on that, but I don't have privacy. I don't have a real device to do stuff. I don't have a video editor. I've been doing all this with the Chitty Chitty Bang iPad that is now almost, 8 years old. And I've gone through iPhones like there's no tomorrow because a couple of my own stupidity, they were stolen. Or, you know, hey, man, in the melee, you drop it, things happen. You know the deal, people. So let's look at this. Let's go back to Brian. All right. I got off track there, and I don't think I made my point on the last thing I was thinking about. So, organized stalkers brutally attack American whistleblower Brian Tu in Bogota, Colombia, September 13th, 2016. One of the things he's famous for is he globetrots all over the world. If, you know, you could find him on the Temple Mount, he might be on Mount Kilimanjaro one day or down in Nicaragua. Now, the first question you ask yourself is that there's a process within the targeting. And the first step is to take away the ability to earn income, make a living, have money. How does this guy, who's supposed to be this big whistleblower, he's always trying to get into China and Russia too. Okay, let's read this. Let the American and Colombian authorities produce the entirety of the surveillance system video. All the Russians have to do is prove this one video of a machete attack, which wasn't an attack. He was sitting on a bus, and this asshole in wherever, Nicaragua, was waving a machete at him. And he sometimes puts up the same video as if it was a new video. The Russians already have information and can prove it. After my trip to the Russian embassy in Managua, he's famous for showing up at these embassies, right? Trying to apply for asylum, which never works, all right? This one video brings down the American FBI. Okay, well, hey, look, as last I checked, the FBI they're up and running with their goon squad. Some of them are camped out down here in Rosarito Beach, Mexico, tied to Uncle Carl, Bush, Kissinger, the whole rotten bunch, hassling me because I got the information. I've got the witness. Now, the question is, what happened to these other targeted individuals? This targeted individual community is unrecognizable now. So Brian, he clearly talks about the stalking, and this guy, he's got some information too if you listen to him back then, but he can't show you no pictures of these hybrids, right? This was the one followed me into Mexico earlier this year. And then when I turned around and put the camera on him, he had to cover his face, start touching himself. And I told you this story, and I'll do it again. I got in this guy's face, right with the Mexican military, less than 40 yards away, and I'm yelling at him. Yeah, you fucking little bitch-ass stalker. You work for these pedophile, baby, you know what, scum, huh? Yeah, you freak. And then he skulked off. He took off to get the hell away from me. So Brian could never, ever show you any evidence, nothing at all. This guy never has a flyover. In all his 10 years on YouTube, do you think the blue underbelly American Nazi, Edomite Jew, Satanist, reptoid perplane would be buzzing around Brian as he's showing up at embassies all around the world, anywhere, with these so-called, what, I don't know. You know what they are, but you keep trying to pretend they're not what they are, people. Okay? No, Brian, he couldn't. And what they did was is in the beginning, back then, to counter why these so-called planes, if they were planes, not all of them are, we know that, why would they be over me? People were trying to pretend that, oh yeah, it's happening to me too. Now, can they fly a plane over a social media fraud's location, people? Is that possible? Now let's look at Brian's last videos, okay? Now he's got a couple more. This is from the other day, but we're going to focus on two incidences that is the reason why I'm doing this video now. I am putting this guy out the pasture. If you have listened to him and you are continuing to listen to him, you got to screw loose, people. So, okay, he keeps getting harassed, but he's evicted from a VA shelter medical campus again, the CIA provocateurs. And he's still claiming example of verification in CIA trauma-based whatever it was, okay? But these are his last videos. Now, let's look at this. Okay, so here we are. This is a discharge note from the VA medical campsite up in San Diego. Okay. And what does this say? Okay, standard title, homeless program note, October 24th, 2022. And it comes from a Veronica Olson and the witness, Christine Rogowski. Now, Brian checked in on August 4th, and he was discharged on October 24th. Discharge 2, unknown, offered THP referrals, but Brian declined further engagement. Because, see, he can't. He won't do the right thing and come clean that he's a fraud and just go away, leave YouTube. The veteran has been discharged from care, treatment, rehabilitative services due to the following. The veteran, which he's not a veteran, he worked for the government, but I guess you can get VA care if you're a government worker. Looks like Brian assaulted another CTRS resident in the chow hall. Well, what'd they do? Did they try to steal your green eggs and ham, Brian? Unprovoked push was witnessed by the OT staff. And they were verified that the physical aggression and contact that were witnessed and escalated solely by veteran, meaning Brian too. We need to get this guy out of here because he's a whack job. Veteran discharge due to zero tolerance policy concerning violence. Wow. How about that? Now, do you know what Brian's stick is? He is always getting beat up no matter where he goes, people. How could that be possible? I am in a very, I would say, hostile country to Americans, all right? I mean, Mexico is a wonderful place. The people are wonderful, but there's this, I hate to say it, man. It's just, there's this spirit here that comes from the Mayans, the Aztecs. You know the deal. I don't want to get descriptive, but, you know, the Mexican people, when they get mad, they don't put much thought into anything. They just, you know, they get hostile. So how have I gone all these years, right? I'm in these people's faces. I mean, look, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to maintain a gigantic gang-stalking perp squad army that has many layers, aspects to it. But all they can do is follow me around and stare. And I get right in their face when I can with some of the males. But again, that's why they switched to using these dopey young women. And you should see them. They're so easy to identify. It's just a sad thing. But see, Brian, no matter where he goes, he's getting beat up, right? It's the gang stalkers that keep beating him up. He can't get a break nowhere. So now this is why I'm doing this video, because Brian shows up over the summer. This would have been maybe sometime in August. I believe the video's still up. He shows up at the Federal Bureau of Investigation field office in San Diego at 10385 Vista Sorrento Parkway. Wow, you know what? That was right around the corner from me where I was staying at with my handler buddy, Jay. You know, the sellout, the Edomite, Esau, no salvation sellout. That, and no Semper Fi. There's no always faithful, bro. It's best man wins. And if you can destroy Jacob, you can destroy Israel. There's your bump. There's your promotion. There's your key to more money. Do evil. So Brian shows up at the FBI field office. And let's see if I can find the video real quick. And we'll do a real-time thing here. Let's go. I'm going to walk this through with you people. Let's type in Brian's name. Brian 2. Okay. Okay, latest. Oh, it's a computer. Oh, Ted Gunderson. Okay. Let's go to his channel quick. Let's go. Okay, what's he up to now as the past couple days? Directed energy. He's always laying on the ground. Ooh, my heart, my ears, my ears, my ears. Ooh, my heart, my heart. Ow, ow, ow. Directed energy. R&M supercomputer. Ow, 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 ow. Neuro-linguistic programming. Ooh, okay. Where? Oh, here we go.
Headquarters in San Diego, California.
Watch this. Watch this. This dopey security guard. Watch this.
My name is Brian 2. I don't have any weapons on me, and my bag is, you're welcome to search me or my property. I'm here to...
Okay, this asshole, he's done this a million times, people. He shows up at the FBI office. Now, you think this crazy bald head, Mayorkas, that doesn't like me complaining about my satanic ritual abuse, these Satanists, these implants, that he won't come clean because, yes, there's many people guilty there, pal, but you're the one in charge right now. Do you think that, why doesn't he just say, look, send his operatives, his agents, to scoop Brian 2 up and say, get this pest out of here, man. Brian, your shtick is over, Brian. All right? Why doesn't Mayorkas do that? I guarantee you that I've driven by that building a million times. If I showed up there today, what do you think would happen? Do you think the perp plane would be flying around? Do you think the stalkers would be on the sidewalk pretending to walk their dogs? Why didn't Mayorkas, his golden chance that this asshole for 10 years has been telling the world, right, that there's an R&M supercomputer. Oh, yeah, gang stalking. Yeah, R&M supercomputer. You think Mayorkas would finally, let's shut this guy up. Just send one of the stoolies out there, all right? And approach Brian and say, look, here you go. Here's a debit card, all right? Just keep your mouth shut. We're getting sick of you, or we're going to lock you up, all right? Here, we'll set you up with an apartment, all right? And he's driving around a car, too. How the hell? You cannot rent a car without a credit card nowadays. Do you see what I'm saying, people? Ooh, House Homeland Security holds worldwide threats hearing. There's always a threat, folks. Oh, we're in the peaceful kingdom. Yeah, the 1,000-year peaceful reign. What a blow of garbage, man. There, send one of these assholes, Mayorkas. One of your other crazy bald head buddies. Okay? See, he don't care about me. He don't care about what I have to say. So, really, again, why wouldn't he just be like, all right, enough of this Brian 2 guy, man. Let's get rid of him. Nope, can't do that. I don't know why they all got to touch theirself, folks. Do you get this? Now, when I was trying to document my situation in the beginning, back in 2016-17, they would send these choppers out. And every video I ever made, it wouldn't play back. And this would be the message on my iPhone. But there I am. I would do the flea market right here at the corner around the entrance with the bought and paid perp informant Jose. All right, they move these people in around you, and then they try to tap into the indigenous people, which we'll go over that eventually. But that's what would happen if I tried to make a video. That's what would happen, folks. Now let's look at Brian. Now let's keep in mind, okay, he keeps getting beat up, but here Brian, he's got a good set of choppers right here. Okay, now let's go look at him now. This is the other day, his same act. Oh, my ears, my ears, my ears, my heart, my heart, my heart. Ow, 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 ow. R&M supercomputer. Let's look at Brian. Now, that would in itself look, I would question that, but that's not shape-shifting. He's missing his teeth now, people. But what I want you to notice is it's dark out. He's doing this video. His eyes are closed here, but you see where the shadow, it creates this darker, this, I'm telling you, when you see that, that's something going on. Now, his eye's open right there. His eye is open. You watch this video, and it gets worse. This is Brian 2, you assholes. This fraud. And everybody else that's attached to him. From Baby Chewbacca to, Vulcan Wolverine. And all these other fraud TIs that are no longer around. They were flash in the pan, fraud, social media. Let's slow down, people. But do you see what I'm saying, people? Do you see? What about you shape-shifting RubeTube assholes, huh? Oh, a face only a mother can love. So this guy, he never once, he says his family's being targeted too in North Carolina. But he will never go back to North Carolina and do a video from his parents' backyard. Would they abandon you too, Brian? Because look, this asshole is the same age as me. He was born on June 15th, 1967. I'm October 66. So he would have been a clear candidate for this trauma-based mind control, this MK Ultra. Now, let's be fair to Brian. Maybe he was, because look, his stick was remember, but you don't remember, okay? In 1999, he was studying law in Antigua or Aruba, somewhere, I don't know, Cayman Islands, studying to be a lawyer, and they used the voice to skull on him, right? That's how he starts off his big shtick back then. Okay, here you go, man. Brian Toothy 2. A face only a mother could love. Take a good look, YouTube, you freaks. Do you want me to stop? Or do you want me to continue? Have you had enough? Let's do one more. Let's look at this. Let's look at Brian the Toothy 2. Oh, wow. Very interesting. Very interesting, folks. Right? Right? Ooh, it's a slit eye. Must be a reptilian, huh? Oh, it's all direct. There he is, November 26th. Instead of eating, his turkey, mashed potatoes, and gravy. Oh, my ears, my ears, my ears, my heart, my heart, my heart. Oh, the R&M supercomputer. It's all directed and orchestrated by artificial intelligence. Man, links to the lawsuit against the San Diego police. Okay. Now let's move on to these little Cupid dolls, all right? This. And this Dr. Sella, man, I'm telling you there, Doc, you're getting in hot water with me. But you see how the fingers get bulbous on the end there? Let's look at that. Do you see that? From Squeaky Fromm. And then her spatula hands. Right, folks? She's going to tell you Mother Gaia is going to save us all. Why does that happen, people? Twiggy, toothpick fingers. Let's look at the Toothpick Club, okay? I want to go back. This is the Toothpick Club. There's Richard Bruce, right? Because he's embarrassed. He feels it. He feels something that he's freaking out because he's a lazy lying lizard, and the fingers turn into toothpicks. Now, who else? Oh, it's none other than Pastor Paul, the cream cheese Bagley. And look, check this out. This guy, he must be like a air conditioning and heating tech, because look, see here you got the flathead screwdriver. Right there's a Phillips head, right? Isn't that interesting? Wow. What do you think? You tell me, people. Now, do you want me to quit? Oh, 50 years ago tomorrow, February 20th, 54, President Dwight Eisenhower shit his pants and had to go to an Air Force base to meet the two extraterrestrial aliens. Oh, Project Pegasus and time travel with Andrew Basiago. Doc, I tell you what, you're getting in my line of fire there, buddy boy. Because see, I got nothing. They're not a penny in my pocket. I got Satanist hassling me, and all you can talk about is this secret space program with your phonies that you've been having on, James Gilligan, right? All of that. Ooh, large fleet of spacecraft belonging to highly evolved extraterrestrials. Where are these assholes? And this guy right here. Let's look at this guy. Now, remember what I told you. 2011 was a pivotal year, and that's when they shit their pants. They had to do this big super soldier summit with these slippery, slimy super soldiers. In this video, Carrie Cassidy of Project Camelot interviews James Rink, Alara Blackwell, Richard Rogers, and Max Spears. They're all MyLabs. The Ultra MyLab Super Soldier Program. Wow, the first ever Super Soldier Summit. Whee! June 23rd, 2012. Wow. Now, do you see these super soldiers? Now, this guy must be Aquaman, right? Look at his hand, okay? His hand, as if he's turning into Aquaman. Now here, we're going to close out with your boy Trump, Uncle Carl and Bush's and Kissinger's lackey, this freakazoid. Look at his hand. The electromagnetic distortion. This is over in Scotland. He tried to push off all these people off their land to get his golf course. And you know what they did? They sent him packing. No more Trump lies. Oh, I want to be president again, so you can get you know what more. Now this is the newscaster in Scotland talking about how Trump is hassling all the people over there. Yeah. Why do I do this, man? YouTube, your days are numbered. You censored me. You know what? You got blood on your hands. Don't worry. You got your fun now. You all have your money. But when hell on earth does arrive, which it will, and it ain't going to be 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, how about less than a year from now? 2023, people. Get ready.